This is G.Skill's new WigiDash widget dashboard, a 7-inch touch display with fully customizable multi-purpose panels that can act as virtual on-screen buttons. You can use this thing to streamline loads of different PC functions like controlling media playback, monitoring Twitch chat, creating hotkeys, and more. I've been excited to get my hands on this thing since I saw it back at Computex 2023, which is why I'm very happy to thank G.Skill for sending us our own WigiDash and being the sponsor of today's video. The default WigiDash profile comes preloaded with a clock, these media buttons that work with whichever audio output is in focus on your machine, a few system monitoring gauges, an empty live streaming folder, a music note icon that opens up a dedicated music control page, and a few unprogrammed buttons you can either leave or use your imagination with. The music control page comes kitted out with mic and speaker volume controls, a Spotify web player widget, and a few more customizable buttons, and an audio visualizer. And right out of the box, everything just kind of works. But the WigiDash is practically begging to be heavily personalized, which is exactly what we did with it. The WigiDash Manager software has a market section that gives you access to every existing extension for this thing. There isn't a ton to work with right now, but I'm sure the library will grow as time goes on. Naturally, I installed everything available on this page and just ran with it. Premiere and Photoshop hotkeys are a must with any macro controller for me, since they're used so heavily here at the office. I just have the programs themselves set to these buttons, but they can also be programmed to specific Premiere or Photoshop files if your workflow involves frequently using certain templates. I also tossed in my CPU and GPU temperatures on the main screen. G.Skill included an absolutely insane amount of system info visualization in their software here, and you could fill multiple WigiDash pages with hardware diagnostics if you wanted to. After adjusting the colors and default fonts for the panels, I had to make sure to pull up my Twitch chat front and center. I spend most workdays streaming, and it's so easy to accidentally close or cover up the window with my Twitch chat being displayed, so having this constantly displaying on a smaller screen that's separate from my main monitor is perfect. You can also tap the Twitch chat panel to expand it and even navigate to the chats of different Twitch channels. So if you're not a streamer and you just want to keep someone else's chat up, this works great for that too. You can also adjust the text size and font, so if you ever wondered what XQC's Twitch chat looked like entirely in Wingdings, well, here's your chance. And while we're on the topic of streaming, this is what we did with the streaming widget page. Obviously, we're keeping Twitch chat nice and prominent, but while doing some noodling around with hotkeys, I noticed that WigiDash supports auto hotkey scripts, meaning if you know how to code, this thing just got a whole lot more fun. One of the things that I feel like is currently missing from the WigiDash marketplace is proper OBS controls. But with auto hotkey, there's no reason somebody who knows how to code couldn't develop a script that lets you use the WigiDash to switch scenes in your broadcasting software of choice. Now, I don't personally have that technical know-how, but now when I find somebody who does, I'll be ready. I also had the idea to use black backgrounds that blend in with the borders around the panels to give the appearance of differently shaped buttons. Yeah, pretty intuitive, I know. But also, what's a live stream without some sound effects? So I mapped a few of those hotkey panels to specific MP3 files that open and play through Media Player when they're touched. And this big red button takes you back to the main page, where I want to tell you about this special security measure I've taken just in case an imposter attempts to rifle through my WigiDash. I've carefully placed this inconspicuous button labeled Utilities, typed out on the Fortnite font with a picture of a bug underneath it. Why a bug? Well, because there's like a million default icons G.Skill lets you pick from, and this one I thought was kind of cute. So imagine this. Somebody breaks into my house, rocks up to my PC, tries to go to town hacking me. The intruder obviously notices the WigiDash sitting at my desk because who wouldn't? It's a cool little screen and I made it look so pretty. So if they start tapping around, they'll eventually get into my utilities page that consists entirely of one button that simply says, all my passwords. The perfect trap for a would-be hacker. But when you press the button, this is what happens. I see what you're doing. You're trying to hack my things. Stop it. Stop it. I'm calling the police. This is your last warning. Which will promptly scare off any potential burglar. Burglar. Thief. So good luck getting my personal info now. Burglar. And I set this up by making the entire page one big hotkey with multiple actions. It automatically opens the Wikipedia article for the word stinky, executes a text file saying, haha, that's what you are, stinky, bumps the volume up a notch just in case the computer's muted, and plays a threatening video explaining that what you tried to do was wrong. And while that might not be exactly what you'd use the WigiDash for, it should give you a pretty good idea of what it's capable of. What you will probably use is the Spotify extension, which I set up in my customized music/multimedia page. And the Spotify extension is a 2x1 visual panel that uses the Spotify API to log you into your personal Spotify account, giving you access to all your songs and playlists directly from the WigiDash device's touchscreen. You can use it to skip and pause tracks, but it's also capable of navigating through your entire Spotify music library. I also rearranged and color coordinated the media control buttons, which are also compatible with Spotify, and even adjusted the default settings for this awesome integrated audio visualizer, so now it's even more personalized. At this point, I had pretty much gotten the WigiDash to my ideal state, but I wanted to play around a little more with the hotkey customization. I set up this little page that has paste and copy set up as big, easy buttons to press, along with smaller buttons dedicated to zooming in and out of my timeline while using Adobe Premiere, which is good, clean fun, but I wanted to take it a step further, or at least theorize what other use cases this thing could have. So we mocked up this custom controller layout, thinking you could potentially use this as a stand-in USB controller in a pinch. It's not a perfect alternative as it stands, since the keystroke simulations we have set up didn't simulate long button presses, so the D-Pod doesn't function exactly right, but this seems like another problem that you could potentially address with auto hotkeys if you're really dedicated. Here's what it'd look like if your keyboard died and you desperately needed something capable of typing, but luckily you have a trusty WigiDash. Or maybe you just have a 60% keyboard and want a tiny screen capable of supplementing arrow keys and a number pad. You get really creative with the included icons in the WigiDash Manager software, and even upload your own image files for an even higher level of customizability. We actually imported the Premiere and Photoshop logos for these quick launch buttons, and made this graphic specifically for the streaming widget page. A few extra things I like about the WigiDash is the ability to swipe across the screen to switch pages, in this WigiDash simulated DVD bouncing screen that occupies the display while the manager isn't currently running on your PC. You can also occupy any of the panels with slideshows, still images, and GIFs, so naturally I made this atrocity of a bunch of slideshows of what I call my art. You can also use the WigiDash to display stock tickers, currency exchange rates, weather updates, and even a functional stopwatch. My point being that the WigiDash offers a little something for everybody, and with a little imagination, you can build the ideal environment to help you go about your business with a little more convenience that you didn't even know you needed. This is such a cool little device that gives that extra bit of customization I feel a lot of tech enthusiasts are looking for, but I want to know, what would you guys use the WigiDash for, and what do you think I should try with it next? Also, make sure to check out this video here for even more tips on streamlining your desk space. What if I did this? Subscribe, and that's how it ends, and then I also go like this, subscribe, and then you can take whoever's editing this, hopefully it's not me, and then you take my mouth whenever I said it the second time and you put it on this and it like blows up. Would that be cool? Subscribe.